Hi, my name's John Cockburn-Evans. I'm the founder of Team Coaching Boutique. I'm a professional coach and experienced leader. I've worked in very large organisations all over the world and dealt with different cultures and different environments. Some of them very friendly and very amenable, some of them not so. Now more than ever do we need leaders to show ethical leadership. But what does that really mean? Some people will have their own views, their own slants on it, and look at it with their own lens. But for me, it's all linking to authenticity and transparency, and a lot of that becomes below it. The key theme about ethical leadership, it's tough. If it wasn't tough, everybody would be doing it, and we wouldn't be really having these debates. So why is it tough? Well, I think it's tough because it takes a level of professional risk. It's a bit like the adage, nothing ventured, nothing gained, but also no pain, no gain. There has to be some collateral. There has to be some skin in the game. So what do I mean by this, and what are the examples? Well, first of all, transparency. It's a very overly used word in my experience, but it's very important. Transparency, as it says, means that people can see not just what is going on, but also who you are. You are transparent. You're not trying to, as a leader, kid people on. What you see is what you get, the old expression WYSIWYG. So that's very important. The other element to this is authenticity. Authenticity is very important. So what do we mean about authenticity? I've blogged about this before, but authenticity really means doing what you're saying what you do, but doing it continually. Authenticity and trust are not the same thing. You can be authentic from day one, and you can be authentic in a sustainable way. Trust is something different, equally as important, but you have to build trust. And actually, you build trust by being authentic and transparent. So what else? What are the other aspects of ethical leadership? One, I think, is ownership. This ties in very much with accountability. I've seen plenty of leaders who have, at one level, been very good functional leaders, but they've not necessarily owned either the problem, the department, or the tough decisions that need to be taken. Ownership is very important. That is all about accountability. In order to be accountable, you have to own it. And more importantly, people have to see the fact that you've owned it. That's absolutely critical. And that also ties in with the whole element of being authentic and being transparent. If you try and abrogate your duties, that becomes obvious. I've actually seen plenty of leaders who've used the word delegation, another overly used word. But in reality, what they're doing is not really delegating, they're abrogating or abdicating. Delegation is about empowerment, and empowerment is letting people have the knowledge and the skills, or giving them having the knowledge and the skills, and allowing them to do what needs to be done. So again, that can all come under the banner of ownership. One other term, which I think is very powerful about ethical leadership, is what I call unconditional collaboration. And I've heard this a number of years back, but it's very important. Collaboration, again, is a term that's used a lot these days. Everybody's collaborating, everybody's building teams. But collaboration is a two-way thing. Unconditional collaboration means you're prepared to actually give something without necessarily getting something in return. Now, eventually, you should get something in return, because you can't all be giving and not taking. Life is about give and take. But the unconditional piece is very much about giving to get, i.e. putting yourself out there, giving something in the hope that somebody will reciprocate. And I have quite a few examples, both with relationships, mainly working relationships, where I have learned over the years that giving to get is very, very powerful. I think if people see that you want something immediately, they won't see you as either authentic or trustworthy necessarily. And unfortunately, as we go through tough financial times, There are people out there who quite clearly do want something immediately. That doesn't come across as very authentic. So I think giving to get is very powerful. You'll get the bigger prize, in my view, if you do actually give to get. It just takes a lot of patience. And again, this all comes under the ethical leadership banner because it shows people that you care. Ultimately, that's what it's about. Another element, of course, is taking tough decisions. We all get faced with tough decisions, whether it be personal, decisions, whether it be personnel decisions, whether they be business decisions, or even functional decisions. But ethical leaders take the tough decisions. They don't take the easy options. And again, that needs to be transparent. People need to see that. Anybody can take the soft decision, but in my experience, that leads to problems. Now, actually, what do we mean by taking a tough decision? Sometimes it means saying no, actually, not just saying yes to everything. If something is wrong or unethical, and I've seen a few of those in my time, particularly in engineering or operations, where people have almost cajoled other people into doing things knowingly that are wrong. Actually, being able to say no is very powerful. And in fact, if you're leading a team and you say no, they know that you're an ethical leader. I had some instances back in 2018 rather, in a manufacturing situation where I had to say no on a couple of occasions. It was the right decision. It may not have seemed the right decision to some people, generally above me at the time, but it was the right decision. And that in itself helped me build the bond between myself and my team. Because actually, when things are wrong, most of the time people know they're wrong, but they don't necessarily want to put their head above the parapet or actually declare it, which is another problem altogether. Leadership ultimately is all about leading by example, and ethical leadership takes that to another level. Role modeling the right behaviors, also showing resilience is very important. If you can show your team that you're being resilient, your team are more likely to be resilient themselves. So really, that's just a very short journey into what I consider to be ethical leadership. The key thing, as I've said before, is about taking professional risk and doing the right thing and doing it at the right time. If you're not prepared to take some level of professional risk, generally it's highly unlikely you'll be an ethical leader, because we are faced with tough decisions all the time. Thank you very much for listening. My name is John Cockburn-Evans from Team Coaching Boutique.